So I've got a quick heads up for you today. If you book a cruise when you're on board of a cruise ship, also we're going to talk about the different kind of ports that we go to on a cruise and some things we need to be aware of. What is going on with Iceland? You would not believe everything that I have heard about cruise ships calling and not calling in Iceland in the last 24 hours. So we're going to go through that and narrow down where the information is coming from. And finally, we're going to end with a question for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Saturday. It is January 25th of 2025. And right off, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, will you please go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And if you appreciate my updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? It really helps us out, so thanks so much. Now, let's start at the very top talking about how we book our cruises and just a quick thing that I think you need to be aware of. So sometimes we book our cruises through a travel agent, sometimes we go online and do it ourselves, sometimes we do it on phone with a cruise line, lots of different ways to book a cruise. But one of the ways that many of us also book a cruise is when we are on board of a ship, no matter what cruise line we're on, you have the option to book another cruise while you're on board. And somehow in my mind, I think to myself, I should either get at least the best price that the cruise line is offering at that time when I book on board, and maybe there's a perk or something thrown in with that. It just depends on what the cruise line is offering at the time. That sometimes people who were just on a princess ship, when they were inquiring about the pricing, if they wanted to go ahead and book a cruise on board, were actually given higher pricing than I can get when I log in to book a Princess cruise. And I can easily see this. I have heard of this happening on other cruise lines as well. So it's not just on Princess. So here's my advice for you. If you happen to be on a ship and you want to book a cruise, go ahead and book the cruise. I very much advocate booking a cruise that you know that you want to go on, especially if you can do it at a time that you can get the kind of cabin you want, the area of the ship that you would like, things like that. Absolutely book the cruise. But then make sure that when your travel agent gets that cruise passed along to them, that they definitely check the price, because there might be a better price out there. And so if you've got a travel agent that you love, stick with them and have them help you with this. If you don't have a travel agent that you love, get one. I'm a travel agent. There are amazing travel agents out there, and I just want to let you know that this is a thing. And so keep your eye on the price of your cruise, and then moving forward, if you've got a good travel agent, you can refare your cruise. If the price goes down, I've never heard of anyone call the cruise line and want to pay more because the price went up, but it's definitely a thing that if the price goes down before final payment, you can usually get the better price. So thought I would make you aware of that. So go ahead and book on board, but follow up and make sure that you've got the best price, okay? Next, when we go on cruises, there are lots of different kinds of ports that we pull into, depending on the part of the world that you are in, and a lot of times just the port that you're in. Sometimes you are going to be in a very dedicated cruise terminal area. Cruise ships come and go from those piers. They've got a nice cruise terminal for you there, and that's what you end up with. In some places, though, you end up at an industrial cruise port. One of the places that really stands out to me with this is Buenos Aires. I've been hearing a lot of talk on Facebook groups and in questions to me about the Buenos Aires cruise terminal. When you go to the Buenos Aires cruise terminal, you are going to see it is a very industrial port. Huge container ships load and unload there. It is a very busy port, and like I said, very industrial. So for them to accommodate cruise ships, to me, is wonderful. It seems to me is probably a little bit of a hassle, because they have to accommodate everything that goes with having a cruise ship dock in an industrial port. So once the cruise ships come in, they're going to have to run shuttles to accommodate the guests, because it's not safe for people to be walking around an industrial port. They're going to have to accommodate all the supply trucks that come and go. All of these things come into play. The reason I'm telling you this is I want us to all keep in mind how truly fortunate we are that some industrial cruise ports are happy to have some cruise ships come, because that opens the world further to us. If Buenos Aires did not want to have the bother of having cruise ships come, which I know they pay to dock there, I know they earn money on this, but at the same time, if they didn't want to deal with cruise ships, we wouldn't be sailing from Buenos Aires. We'd be having to look for another place for ships to sail from to be able to see all the amazing things in South America and Antarctica. So it's a really big deal that the cruise ships do this. So when you are going to depart on a cruise, when we went there in 2020, we weren't doing YouTube yet. And so I will share more footage with you when we go next year. But when you go, pack your patience. As I'm always telling you, be ready if there's a wait. Be ready to take shuttles that you have to take. And if things are slightly delayed, everything will be okay. You'll get on the ship. If you're at the end of your trip and it's taking longer than you like, just relax and know that you had a wonderful cruise. Don't hang on your experience there at the port, how happy your whole cruise turned out, because that shouldn't have any impact on how wonderful your cruise was. So I want to put that out there. Another port that just came to my mind is Mazatlan. When you go to Mazatlan, you have to take the little tram that they take. You can't just go walking into that industrial port. You have to take the tram that they do. Then they take you over where you can disembark and then head into where those shops are and further into Mazatlan if you want to. So there are lots of places like this around the world. Post some of your favorites for me. Let me know some of the industrial cruise ports that you have sailed in and out of, ones that you would maybe like to get to see, and we'll all look forward to hearing from each other about this. Okay, alrighty, what is going on with Iceland? I let you know earlier this week that just this week Iceland has implemented a cruise passenger fee per day, not for all of your port visits that you make to Iceland, one fee of $18, but no, $18 per day that a cruise ship calls in ports with cruise passengers. And this apparently is really big news. When I first heard about this, I thought to myself, calling in a cruise port in Iceland for $18 is not going to change my mind about wanting to go there. But it seems like maybe I'm a little bit in the minority, and I want to know what you think, because so far we have only really heard what some of the cruise lines are saying about this. So all of the information that I am hearing reported by different people on YouTube, as well as talked about in Facebook groups, stems from an article done by the New York Post. It was published, and they talk about the fact that, and as they do this, they quote the Icelandic National Broadcasting Service that say, how this fee has come into play. And it says, in just the first few weeks of the year, and this is a quote, harbor masters in multiple ports said that 80 cruise ship visits were canceled compared to last year, and even reported some ships scheduled for 2026 have backed out. Like I said, that is being reported by the Icelandic National Broadcasting Service. And so apparently they've got access to some data quoting these harbor masters saying that some cruise ships are canceling their calls. Now, since it's been happening in the first few weeks, I don't know how much of a heads up the cruise lines were given that this new $18 per person per day per port call there was going to go into effect. But let me tell you a few things on my mind as I hear of these things, and I want to hear what you think. In the comments, tell us, have you been to Iceland? Do you want to go to Iceland? And would this $18 per port fee do anything to deter you from wanting to go? Okay, so as people are looking to go to Iceland, number one, you should know Iceland is a hot destination. Everybody wants to go to Iceland. When you look at travel bloggers, travel vloggers, people that post on Instagram, that do travels, everybody at some point is wanting to go to Iceland or is going. It is a really popular destination right now, and I think rightly so. It has become much more accessible than it used to be, and a lot of people are taking the opportunity to go see what a beautiful place it is. Gordon and I went to Iceland in 2023 on Princess, thoroughly enjoyed it. We were supposed to have 4 port stops. We missed one due to weather. but we were able to go to the other 3, and I would go there again in a heartbeat. I think maybe part of me being willing to pay that $18 per port is because I've been there and I have seen how beautiful it is. I would rather save $18 and go without something else than miss the chance to go to Iceland, and I really do hope that the cruise lines keep that in mind. I hope they don't just willy-nilly cancel cruise ships going to Iceland. As we think about this, I think that one thing that really stands out is that the cruise lines, the harbor masters, the people who are implementing these fees really need to work together. I understand that they have to charge fees, but it's a big difference. They were back like at approximately $5, and it was for people who were staying overnight. It wasn't even for all the cruise ships coming. And so for them to implement this fee seemingly suddenly, I think is a really big deal. And I'm wondering if some of the jostling by the cruise lines is not their attempt to say, hey, you're not going to take advantage of us. And so I'm really hoping that they'll put the effort into working together so that in the long run we can keep cruise ships going to Iceland, because I want to go there more. I want to see more. I'm hoping that they will open more cruise ports in more areas around the country, so that we will have the chance to see a little bit more of Iceland. Like I said, it is very much worth a visit. So worth a visit to go to Iceland. Even if Iceland is not initially on your bucket list, you definitely should think of going. The other thing that I want to keep in mind is I am hoping that in the long run, we are hearing of so many places implementing fees to cruise ships because they are seeing all of this tourism exploding. They are thinking we want to earn more money on this. Maybe we've got to do some work in our ports, but I hope that as they do this, they will also have a healthy respect for what cruise ships bring to the ports that they visit. They not only bring those port fees and the docking fees that the cruise ships pay, but they bring the money that really helps a lot of the people who live in those areas. The tourism dollar is really important in a lot of these locations, and they are going to increase a lot of local populations' access to not only to have more money to take good care of their families, but it's going to increase in the long run, I believe, some of these more remote places, their access to education, their access to a lot of things that will really be a benefit to their communities. That's just what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments. Now, my last question for you. I know that we've got a lot of cruisers who are very well cruised, and a lot of you are brand new. And so as we navigate visiting different places, I want to ask your opinion. In Puerto Vallarta, who has been there on a princess ship that actually had an excursion to a beach resort type of place that you could enjoy the beach that you enjoyed? If anybody has a recommendation for me, let me know. If anybody has a warning for me, let me know as well. When we went to Mexico, we've been there a few times now on cruise ships. A couple of times we have booked excursions that were okay, but in the long run I wasn't too crazy about them. But I would really like to get to go to the beach and just enjoy the beautiful beach while we're in Puerto Vallarta. So if anybody has a suggestion, let me know. Princess does have some excursions, and we've narrowed it down to a couple that we might try. But as we try to make up our mind, I thought you might have some input for us. So I look forward to reading your comments on that as well. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you here again on Monday, and I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.